Okay, well, before anything, I just want to say that this is another conclusion of my life, and I just want to say that times have changed. You know what I'm saying? Times have changed. It's no longer the same. You know, where I grew up, people used to kill each other. You know what I'm saying? People used to kill each other, and kids would kill each other, and the adults, they seemed not to do anything about it. If you were to look for a gun, you would find it. You know, and so it was there was butterfly knives, there was all types of knives, there was all types of guns, in a small neighborhood, in a small city, accessible to kids, underage, teenagers, and they would kill each other. You know what I'm saying? And here in Mexico, when I got deported, it was basically the same thing. There was kids killing each other, teenagers killing each other. You know what I'm saying? And times have changed. There seems to, I mean, supposedly in the news, it's happening, but like if you're to I would witness it in the United States all the time. When I first got deported here in Mexico, people fighting, beating each other up, a whole bunch of cop cars, a whole bunch of cop cars and ambulances, and people fighting and killing each other, you know, and you don't see that anymore. The only time I see cop cars is when some cars crash or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't see that anymore. And so what I'm saying is that times have changed, and that what I wanna emphasize is that my conclusion, because what I'm saying, my friends, well, what I thought were my friends, I don't know if they were, if they weren't. They died. Like people would die. I remember my friend Hector. He died. He died at the age of 21. And he looked 21. You know what I'm saying? And there's a list of people that have passed away. Of people that I've gotten to know throughout life that have passed away. And people nowadays, they lie about their age. And it's like, what the hell, what's going on? And so my conclusion to life, after making it, out of the ghetto, not so much so because I ended up going to prison, and then getting out of prison, making it out of prison, making it out of this, out of that. I have a list. I'm gonna talk about my life and what I've been through, so that people know, because uh there's still people popping up asking me, who are you? Like, what are you hiding and stuff like that, right? And so I'm gonna make my personal channel a little bit longer because people keep asking me, people keep asking me like, who are you and stuff like that. So I guess I'm gonna extend my video and make a like a good 10 videos or 20 about who I am and where I come from, so that people know, right? Because they keep asking me. Anyways, so the conclusion to life to the life that I have lived, the only basic logic conclusion, right, to kids throwing indirects, to kids that you could clearly see, that are freaking demons. Demons, they're demons. You could clearly see it. You know what I'm saying? Any person that's in their right state of mind will say, that's a demon. You know, you could tell them apart right away. A kid, a innocent kid, versus one that's freaking wide awake and has and gives, how would you say it, signs of having lived a prior life. How could you not distinguish the both? And so it's very much, and I guess if anybody falls into an argument about what demons are, and can't like they can't make somebody understand, It's the same thing with dogs. It's the same thing with dogs. You know, it doesn't take a rocket science. It doesn't take, you know what I'm saying, intelligence for you to understand that a dog is a demon. A dog is a demon. You know what I'm saying? There's no other way that you're gonna make an animal create that type of consciousness. They even talk. They even have this, how would you say it, this collar. They even have this collar in which, how would you say it, the dogs talk. And so if you're a vegetarian, if you're a Christian, you understand this, you know. And if anybody's that's like about 40 years old and says he's a Christian and a vegetarian and he does not agree with what I'm saying, fake. It's a fake. It's a fake. You know what I call how would you say it, promoters, you know, agents. Agents. They're playing the role. They're playing the role to be part of. You know what I'm saying? It's like going into a church. They play the role. You know, in some churches they play the role. Almost all of them. You walk into a church and you're saying what, and you say to yourself, "What the hell are all you idiots doing in here?" You know, they play the role to be part of, and then they mislead. They mislead. You know, to confuse. You know, when it's something very basic. Anyways, and that's my conclusion to life, is that sooner or later, you know, I have seen my peers grow old, and most of them die. There's some that say that they're still alive, but to me, those are administrations, characters being maintained, growing old characters that are being maintained. Like if you're gonna maintain them, you might as well maintain them young. Don't have them grow old before my very eyes. And so that's the conclusion, that in the future they'll admit that there are demons, that they obtain life after life, through the devil or through whatever, through spiritual freaking whatever. That they kill, eat each other, participate in orgies, and that they have this underworld, how would you say it, structure that will never change. You know, they have this underworld structure that will never change. You know, it will never change. You know, how can you open up a store, you know, and not ask yourself what's going on? How could you try to become part of something when you know exactly what's going on? How could you do that? How could you do that? You know, they're never gonna say, you know, they're never gonna admit how a city functions. Everybody. You're the only not gonna those gonna say we want sex with you. You we wanna over here. Knock this door. We want sex. You know what I'm saying? That was back in the day. And that's the way I feel now, right? But you can't run anywhere. Like, where am I going to run to? When everywhere it's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm going to keep talking about this, and I'm going to start off from the beginning to all those don't know who I am, I'm gonna start off from the beginning, and I'm gonna say exactly what I've been through and how I have come to draw to this conclusion, you know. And like, I guess you could say, you know, to those that know what I'm talking about, I mean, like, why explain a life on how is it that you draw to a basic, very simple understanding of life? You don't have to explain it. You know, I don't have to explain to a to a 40, 50-year old that a dog is a demon. He should explain to very you or tell you what you have. If the old, you know, gone through experience, knows. Yeah, I know. Like, when did you find